Today's lesson is actually going to be the beginning of a 3-day lesson. We're going to start looking at the formulas for the volume of three-dimensional figures. Well, what are we trying to figure out? What we're trying to figure out is how much it takes to fill up our container, whatever that container may be. Well, the first thing we have to do is say, well, how are we going to fill it up? If I was going to fill up something in my room, it just can't randomly put in a bunch of nails because there'd be space between them. So we want things that stack up nicely and that could fill up a height. So one nice thing is, oops, let me erase that, sorry. I had my pen out of my pocket. One nice thing to use would be a cube, because a cube allows us to stack things one right next to each other without any space, but also on top of each other. So for example, if I was going to fill in this container, the first thing I would want to do is to fill in the bottom level. Okay. Well, how many did it take to fill in that bottom level? You go, well, really, it's just the area of that bottom level. So we found the area of the bottom, which we call the base. Okay. Well, then I also want to figure out how many it takes to fill this thing up high. And it would take 2 to fill it up height-wise. So once I know the area of the base, I just multiply by how many boxes or how many cubes high it would be. Now that's our formula for all types of shapes. So we're going to find that area or the volume by taking the area of the bottom or the base and multiplying it by the height of the shape. Now someone will say, oh, great, there, I can write that down. The problem is if you look at our three shapes down below, our rectangular prism, our triangular prism, and our cylinder, the base is different for each one of those. You've got a rectangle one, you got a triangle, and you got a circle. So that base formula part is what's going to change. We always take whatever that is and multiply it by the height. So although they're all similar in how we find them, they differ because that base is different for each of the figures. Okay. Well, let's take a look today then at our rectangular prism. So a volume for rectangular prism. Again, the first thing we said is we're going to take the area of our base and multiply it by the height. So we need to find that so we can multiply it by the height. Well, let's take a look at our base. We pull it out, it's a rectangular shape, and to find the area of that rectangle, I would simply take length times width. So our volume formula for a rectangular prism, as simple as it may be, is just length times width times height. Okay. So what I'd like you to do is take out a single sheet of paper, probably a calculator, and I'm not even going to worry about this question right here to start. Is what I'd like you to do is just to see if you can find the volume for this first box and the volume of the second box. You can pause the video, find your solutions, and then restart your video to watch the answers. All right, let's take a look at box one. I got a length, a width, and a height. And again, just like before, the nice part about this formula is it doesn't matter which one's which. You're basically just multiplying these three numbers together. So 8 times 8 times 4, or a volume of 256. Now we want to be careful with our label because now we didn't fill these with squares, we filled them with cubes. So these are cubic units, which you could use CU or a little 3. The second problem, 7.6 times 7.6 times 3, and again, you can multiply those in any order, is 173.28 cubic inches. So there's our two volumes. Now, before I give you the assignment today, I'm going to have you try one more problem. And you're going to be like, well, this is so easy, no problem. I need to try one more problem. I'm going to make the assignment a little more complicated today. Because on the assignment is what I'd like you to do is when you get your rectangular prism, it's to find the volume of it, which is real simple, length times width times height, but then to find the surface area of it also, which is slightly more complicated. So I'd like you to see if you can find the volume and the surface area for these two shapes. Again, you can pause the video, try them, and then restart the video to watch the solutions. All right, hopefully you've done the two problems. Volume first, length times width times height. Again, does not matter the order you multiply Multiply those in. This should be 720, and this is cubic centimeters because we're talking about filling them up with cubes. The surface area, which we're talking about the flat surface now, this is the more complicated with this length times width times height times length, is 516 centimeters squared now because we're talking about area. Now, my guess is most of you probably had the first one right. You just multiply the three. If you had one wrong, it might have been the second. So if you did, you want to be careful with the formula for the surface area, remembering that you had to double it. So if you only had 258 for an answer, you know that you forgot to double it. Again, another reminder that you also want to push equals on your calculator before you double it so that it actually adds those together. Assignment for today is actually on page 521 of the blue book. So for those in the regular math class, you can use the blue book. For those in the green section, you'll either have to open the blue book online, or I will have a copy of this page on my worksheet section. The assignment is problems 4. I'm actually going to cross off 7 here. Let's just do 4 through 6 and 8 through 11. Now that's only 7 problems, but you're going to find volume and surface area for both. So for all of those. So there's actually going to be 14 answers. The directions of the book may say just to find the volume, but I would like you to find the volume and the surface area. Actually, it does say surface area for the top half, but I'd like you to find volume and surface area for all of them.